What's going on, everybody? This is Chris Connor here checking in with Music, Movies, and Hoops again. And here's our second NBA video. We had some time here to reflect, so new part of the season, and thought it was a good time to have new guests. So outside of our wonderful, what am I going to call you, a general of sorts, Sasha? What would you like to be called?
Assistant coach.
So
I'm the Luke Walton of the 2016 Warriors.
Okay, I'm about to say, because you don't want to be the 2021 Luke Walton video.
Yes, sir.
So don't. Moving forward here, we have Cody Tannen-Barrup.
Shout out.
And then we have Steven. Go ahead, Steve. How you doing, man?
Good. My name is Steven Strong.
I'm gonna go ahead and get things started, man, guys. It's been a very interesting, to say the least, season in the NBA for a plethora of reasons. We've had some moves. We've had some non-moves. We've had drama. We've had fat suits or non-fat suits. And we just so happen to be doing all this in the middle of a pandemic. I would like to know is, how do you guys think what type of job do you think the NBA has done handling the pandemic? I know last week they ended up having a meeting. They want to change a few things, like to play a full game, an hour, 2 hours, and rubbing up against people that you can't shake hands with afterwards. So some things are weird, some things aren't. We'll start with you, Cody. How do you think the NBA has handled the pandemic so far?
Poorly, but also at the same time, basketball is an incredibly difficult sport to create some sort of rules in this case, because I don't know what you're supposed to do. I disagree with what you were saying. I agree with what you were saying, and I disagree with the league's stance that, look, no dapping up before the game, no hugs after the game. But then for the middle 2 hours, you're going to be sweating, breathing, boxing out, all that stuff. So, that seems like a kind of silly protocol to throw in place. I think my solution is more schedule-based. Just take a week off. Let some of these contact tracing things play out and then pick it back up. If the season ends a week later in July, is that going to be a problem? You've already got an All-Star break scheduled. Just do a little mini All-Star break without the All-Stars.
Oh, that's definitely something that I hadn't thought about yet. I know that there was talk about maybe, or the most popular choice was maybe pausing the season for a couple of weeks, seeing how that would help things. But Mr. Strong, Steven, what type of job do you think the NBA has done? Do you agree with agree with Cody, or do you have another opinion in what could be done, or what in regards to what has been done so far?
Well, overall, I actually think Cody was spot on. Implementing rules as rules that don't actually make logical sense in terms of how science works and everything. It's just kind of almost disrespectful to the actual point of there being these guidelines in place and things that are actually being done to limit spread and or keep the NBA season going. But one thing that I think that they have done and they should continue to do as this progresses is they've done changes to NBA rules that have been in place the entire time, but they've they're allowing you to add another two-way player. When instead of two players, you could have a third two-way player, and that makes a lot of sense to me. It also gives guys a chance to kind of prove if they deserve an NBA shot, which can be exciting, both for underdog stories, which NBA loves, and just for the good of the game. And there'd be more of a strategy and coaching and game plan and development if a key guy is out and you have an extra guy to spare. So remaining open to hardcore changes is something that I think the NBA has done a good job of, even pre-bubble or as we led to the bubble. They've got to keep doing that to have any shot at this, keeping this season going in the middle of this insane time right now.
No, I definitely agree with that. But before we get to Sasha, I think one of the things that baseball and the NFL had working in their favor was that they had a streamline of guys for the most part that they could bring up as soon as something happened. The NFL, you have a practice squad of sorts, right? The MLB, while the rosters are constructed differently, you have an entire minor league staff that you can pull from. It felt like other leagues may have been a little bit differently prepared, and I don't know if the NBA really. I don't know how they saw things going here, but I think now. I wouldn't be surprised if we have another meeting or two or three that's largely talked about as they kind of figure out things as they go, because they're in a unique situation with how their roster is set up and the different levels of flexibility they could have. But I'm with you, Stephen. If they can find a way from a roster perspective to
keep the games going.
Exactly. Because that's pretty much what it is. Just as in the bubble, outside of a few crazy performances, especially in the Western Conference, a good majority of the teams that we expected to be good, eventually we saw them be that way. And I think even if you're looking at a situation where guys are out for a week, we have, right now it's Karl Anthony Towns, we have Jason Tatum and a few others. Kevin Durant missed a week. I think you'll still find a way when it's all said and done to have the best be able to play against the best. Sasha, what about you, man? What do you think in regards to how the NBA's handled things?
Yeah, I have a couple questions and then I have a thought here. My first question is are there lasting effects? You can look at Russell Westbrook. He came back from COVID in the playoffs, did not play the way he was playing in that really fantastic regular season he was having last year for Houston. To pull from another sport, which almost feels like cheating on the website. But Cam Newton, my New England Patriots quarterback, actually was playing pretty well before COVID, came back and then really was never the same, never got back to where he was. I have more to say, but I kind of want to kick it back to you guys. I'm just curious about this. Are you guys worried about lasting effects with COVID, or after those 14 days, are we moving on?
I'm fascinated to see, particularly Jason Tatum.
Right.
I want to see what happens to him, because he was also playing so well to kick off the year, and so what happens when he comes back.
I think in those specific examples, it could have been a lot more than just coming back from COVID. The Patriots were an experiment to begin with, and Cam was a chance to begin with and all that. But, Russell has played pretty well so far this season. So I guess it also means, in terms of lasting effects, is that how long is lasting, is it
right.
forever, or is
right.
it a couple months? And the fact that nobody knows the answer to that question is kind of concerning in itself, obviously.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor, nor am I qualified to really tell.
Come on, Chris.
Dr. Connor?
No, I am not. I have no idea. I can only assume everyone's body acts differently.
You mentioned those other sports, and those are all outside. And so that is the other drawback that the NBA has going for it, is that their sport is indoors.
Chris, I have another question that I think maybe you can answer. So,
thank you.
I was looking at this, guys. The Washington Wizards, as Bill Simmons likes to say, are 3-8. They've played 11 games. The New York Knicks have played 15. The Wizards have stopped playing basketball. They have 5 games postponed. Their game on Wednesday is postponed. How are they going to sort this out? This is reminding me a little bit of the Cardinals, played 20 less games than other teams in the National League in the baseball season. Is there going to be a time when the season ends and then all these postponed games happen? Are they going to squeeze them in? Does anyone know about what the reschedule plan is?
Oh, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly.
It is.
At least for the Wizards. You're going to be looking at times where they play, they have multiple weeks of playing back-to-backs. Because there's no other real way to really schedule them, to really schedule it throughout the season. They may have had weeks or periods throughout the year on their schedule that maybe they had a couple extra days off where the games don't have to be rescheduled then. But then you have to question, how does that work for their opponent?
Right.
Do you, I don't, and I'm kind of, I'm drawing a blank now with how they were going to do the All-Star break.
No
I do
All-Star
believe
game.
they were going to throw some games in there. I do believe they were going to take that
Right.
week and throw a couple of games in there if they were postponed. I don't know that they foresaw a team having 6 postponed games. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be really interesting. I mean, I think one way or another, as long as it doesn't get ridiculous to where, and I mean it surely may, and we're talking double digit, or we're talking about a team that has double digit games that have to be rescheduled. I don't know. Maybe you get to a point to where the Wizards aren't playing good enough basketball as of right now. They aren't, to where you just say forget about it. But again, how does that affect the other team? Like let's say you have a team that's that's right on the cusp of making a playoff spot. I mean, how do you decide from those games which matters? But if they're playing non-playoff teams, and similar to the teams that weren't able to meet the bubble, wherever you end is wherever you end. It's definitely going to be weird, but I think they have enough time to come up with some type of plan.
I honestly believe in Adam Silver. If there's players to play the games, he's going to figure out how to make it happen.
I mean, they could do that old drill, 3-on-3 teams, where everyone forms a bunch of 3-on-3 teams, and then you score, and the other people go off. So you have the Pacers on there, they get scored on, they go off, and the Wizards just stay on the whole time. They're just running through these teams in a 3-on-3 tourney or something. I don't know how you could get through a lot of games that way.
Well, I mean, maybe the Washington Wizards in total might be someone's biggest what the fuck of the season, right? I know in our season preview, it was multiple people that were high on the Wizards. They thought the Wizards were going to make the conference, and I'm not pointing at anybody in specific, whether they're next to me on this screen or box or not. But we had multiple people that were really high on what the Wizards could be. Talking about playoff matchups and all type of crazy stuff. And they're 3-8. Sasha, what would yours be?
Yeah, my what the fuck of the season so far was looking at the East standings. So let me name some teams for you. The Knicks, Cavaliers, Magic, and Hornets. Do you guys know what they have in common?
They're all
They
in
score a lot of
playoffs.
points.
They're all have better records than the defending Eastern Conference champion Miami Heat and the 2 seasons ago NBA champion Toronto Raptors. And I'm just kind of wondering, I'm excited to hear what you guys think, because I don't really have solved this puzzle. What's going on with those teams? Jimmy Butler, I looked up today for our weekly roundup, is 0% from 3 on the season. 0%. Hasn't made a 3. He's missed some games. Hero's made a jump. He's up 3 points a game from last season's starting role. And then I looked at the Raptors, and it's just not happening. They're 25th in rebounding rate. They're 20th in defensive efficiency, according to John Hollinger. Pascal Siakam, picking up where he left off in the bubble, not playing as well. He's at 19 points a game this year. He was at 23 last year. No one's really made jumps. Fred VanVleet is up a little bit. OG is up a little bit, but I'm just not seeing it. Do you guys think that these teams are going to turn it around, or do you think that this is an off season for them?
I don't think that the Raptors are going to be serious contenders, even if they win a bunch of games and make the playoffs as a seed or whatever. I don't take them seriously at all.
Why?
They're the same. They're almost the same team that when they had Kawhi, and they're a really good team, but they have no closer. They have no clutch player, and Fred VanVleet, we knew that he was going to be solid after that finals performance. We're like, oh man, this guy can shoot. Everyone knows his name. He's a daddy now, whatever. And
he
then
did play good after that birth.
Yeah, and then he had a good season, and it's like, well, how much better is Fred VanVleet gonna be? He's gonna shoot threes. He's gonna make some nice layups, and he's gonna put up some points. But then what? You still didn't go back to the finals. And then Pascal is still figuring it out. He's not a go-to scorer. He's not a clutch scorer. I really don't know what he's doing much of the time these days, but I like him a lot, and I want him to do well.
I think that the Raptors get by on hustle They get by on being that scrappy team. That's how they've been defined by their toughness, by Kyle Lowry. Yeah, and I think that they lost some leadership in Gasol and Ibaka. I think that Lowry's another year older. I mean, he's 34, 35, maybe even older. And that to me means that you can have slip up. They're leading the league right now in fast break points. So when they get into the half court, as Stephen was saying, then they don't have that half court killer. They struggle. And a couple years ago they had Kawhi, and then Siakam was really doing that for them sometimes. I mean, he's still mainly a fast break player. So, yeah, I'm not that surprised that Toronto is not doing well. Also, I think that some of these East teams are playing better. So, in a game, someone has to win and someone has to lose. It has to balance out. So Toronto could be playing the exact same way that they did last year, but if these other East teams are better, then their record is going to be worse. I think both the Heat and the Lakers, who were the two finals teams, I don't know if you knew that, last year, I think they are not pushing themselves as hard to start the year because they were playing October 11th or 9th or whenever the season ended. So they're obviously going to be a little bit more cautious coming into this year and not trying to push people like Dragic, who's coming back from injury, and too hard, too soon. The difference being the Lakers have a ton of talent and the Heat have a good amount of talent. And so that's why the Lakers are still 11-3 and the Heat are not. And so that's my take.
Cody, Connor, I don't want to cut you off, but really quick, Cody, between the Lakers and Heat were in the finals and one team has to win, one team has to lose. Fire commentary tonight. You are on point, my man.
I think one element of the Raptors that's interesting, I don't know if everyone's talking about, is how much of a factor are them playing in a different city? Is that how much is that really affecting them right now? They go through periods in the game where, if you watch them closely this year, where they're playing good basketball for stretches and they're up on teams, they have sizable leads, and then they blow it and they get lost. And they just look just disinterested. They fall in love with the 3-point shot. They don't play the same balanced style, the same gritty type of basketball on both sides that Nick Nurse is accustomed to and that we've been accustomed to from Toronto. Now, I think one big thing for them is like you mentioned, Cody. They're missing Marc Gasol. They're missing Serge Ibaka. Those were guys that they counted on when things got tough for them. Now, Chris Boucher has come off the bench and been great for them, especially offensively. He's had a bunch of games where he's had multiple blocks as well, but he's only 6'8", 6'9". So I mean, if he's the one that's kind of holding down the fort at the center position, he's not giving you much size, and that's been my biggest takeaway for them right now when they get into these struggles. Teams just attack them at the rack, and when they fall in love with the three, teams are getting to the free throw line. Teams are able to score on them on the inside, and they don't have enough rim protection. While Aaron Baines is a good player, he's not a great rim protector, and he hasn't given them, I think, what most people expected him to give them as a stretch big so far to start the year, as well. So I mean, the Siakam opinions were all on point. He hasn't taken the next step, another step, because I think losing guys like Serge, losing guys like Gasol, the type of leadership, they need someone else to step up. And Siakam has the size, he has the skill, I think, and all the ability to do so with the work being put in. And he doesn't look that much different from the guy that we saw last year. I won't throw in the bubble necessarily, but just from last year period, he doesn't seem to be that different. And that seems to be hurting him. Miami, like you guys said, I don't see a team that's all the way focused right now. They kind of seem to be in cruise control. Like, this is the Eastern Conference. Our goal is just to be healthy at the end of the year, be in the playoffs, and we'll play whoever. You throw that in with, it's not a whole bunch of, last year they had Tyler Hero come in and play really good basketball when guys were out, when guys were hurt. When they've had people out right now, you don't have that same guy to come in and win you a couple games or keep a couple games close in which you probably should win. When they played Philly a few days ago, when Joel Embiid dropped some ridiculous stat line that I don't remember, when the game went to overtime, that was a game in which they should have won, but they ran out of gas, they ran out of juice. Miami has been known, at least from me watching from afar, as having one of the deeper rosters and deeper benches in basketball. Well, I mean, when 5-6 players are out at a time, you only have so many different bags you can really reach into. And I think between Jimmy being hurt, I know Bam missed a game or two, and them having multiple guys out due to COVID protocol, it seems very difficult for them to kind of kick things into gear. But the first game of the year against Orlando, they looked like they were just going through the motions. So I'm not really worried about them. I mean, they have one of the best coaches in basketball, and their roster, I think, is one of the better ones in the Eastern Conference. They'll get things right.
I was going to say, when we talked about losing Ibaka and Gasol for the Raptors, and it's a different level of player, different level of experience, but losing Crowder to the Suns, he is an important regular season player, especially because he is going to fight every night, and he is not going to be on cruise control. He might not do the right thing, but he's not going to be not going hard.
I want to really quickly highlight a bright spot on each of these teams that we're kind of ragging on. Precious Achiuwa. You guys seen this guy? You guys seen Precious? I think he's going to be around for a decade. He looks like a real NBA player. They got him in the 20s. I'm excited. And then, Chris, pinging on you, man. Chris Boucher. These numbers, like, my eyes exploded. 15-7, 2.5 blocks, 2 threes. Here's the kicker, in 23 minutes a game. So these guys, both these teams, there's some holes that we're addressing, but definitely some promising young bigs.
Totally agree. When I watch Precious play, he reminds me a lot of Montrezl Harrell vibes.
Well put.
Just by the way he is around the basket, his hustle. And he's a team that, he's a guy, when you put him in the game, he gives you juice right away. And Chris Boucher, man, I laugh being a Pelicans fan of how Toronto, or Tampa Bay now, their pipeline in regards to guys that just come out of nowhere every year. It's just so deep, man. Every year it's somebody new. And they're not just like average players, like they're really good basketball players consistently. From Siakam to Van Fleet, we got Norman Powell, and these are all guys that they developed. You know what I mean? Like they had either in their G League system, or they let them sit a little bit as rookies and found a way to morph them into their culture.
Chris, I love your point about having to play in Tampa versus Toronto. I think that's got to be disconcerting. They're the only team that's dealing with that. And it's Tampa, which, I'm from Northern Florida. I can say it. It's Tampa. It's not Toronto in a lot of ways.
I want to talk about the Brooklyn Nets in a little bit.
What they could be is, with Harden and with Kyrie, they can be an unmatched offensive talent. I think you have to make the deal. Dropping soon on musicmoviesandhoops.com, I break down a history of blockbuster trades. So I have some statistics for you, which is that 11 of the past 24 trades that included a top 25 player in the league led to a title within 3 years. And that's including the Paul George trade that just happened, and that's including this Harden trade. So we don't know what those are going to be yet. So really, it's 11 out of the past 22. So that's a 50% shot of winning a title if you trade for a top 25 player, which Harden is a top 5 player when he's not eating Whataburger too much. So, yeah, I think that that's a move that they had to make, and that they are going to be an incredible offensive team. I don't know that they have the defensive fortitude to get stops. And in the last... I think it's the last decade, you've had to have a top 11 defense to win the title.
Steve Nash is a guy who's not known for defense. He's a guy known for quick offense, even at a time where the half-court offense was fairly prominent. Before the Warriors running gun days, we had Steve Nash on the Suns. Who was his coach? Mike D'Antoni. Who's Steve Nash's assistant coach in Brooklyn? Mike D'Antoni.
Right.
Who is the coach in Houston with Harden, who had a great offense and never actually went anywhere? Mike D'Antoni with James Harden. So now James Harden's going to Brooklyn to pair with Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni. What do all three of these dudes have in common? A hell of a lot of offense, absolutely zero rings. These guys just keep doing it. They just keep trying. I mean, Mike D'Antoni as a coach amazes me. It didn't work. It never has. He's never won a ring. Nor has Steve Nash. Nor has James Harden. And I don't think that'll change.
Wow. Taking shots at some legends.
But do you think D'Antoni was like, what the hell, guys, when he gets the memo? Like, this guy forced me out, basically, in Houston.
I thought of that, too.
He's like,
no, he's probably like, oh, hell yeah, let's try it again. More offense.
I was not expecting the attack of anything Steve Nash, Mike D'Antoni affiliated or related. First of all, watching Kevin Durant and James Harden and Joe Harris play basketball and just the things that they could do, especially when they moved the basketball, it was just very fun. And if at worst, if it's entertaining, I mean, you can't go wrong. I don't know how it's gonna pair in regards to winning a championship. If they don't defend, if they don't even, then you have got to question, do they even have personnel parts to defend? I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, losing Jared Allen is going to hurt them because DeAndre Jordan does not have much left in the tank. And it's painful watching him move up and down the floor consistently and try to switch on guards and, recover and, close out. It's just not fun to watch that anymore.
I think if they're healthy, they could go to the finals. I mean, Kevin Durant, he's not going to meet any player on his level until he faces LeBron James. Can we say that at this point after watching him put up 31, 7, and 6 and looking like Kevin Durant? And, a lot of teams...
There's a guy in Milwaukee that might have a question about
I don't think Giannis is on Kevin Durant's level. I'm ready to say that.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
Hey, this is your party right now. I'm just saying, I think he might have a question about that.
Fair. He can question it. He was 1 for 10 from the free throw line last game. So, I think Kevin Durant's going to miss 10 free throws this season. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, even if they're bad defensively, they're going to be so prolific offensively. And not only do they have big time scorers, they have big time closers. I mean, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, these guys have closed on the biggest stages. Ironically, somebody who's a big scorer who shrinks is James Harden. But now what's amazing is James Harden can be the guy for 44 minutes and then pass the ball to these closers. I think my concern is that I just don't see a world where we see those three players healthy when the postseason begins. Kyrie Irving often gets injured and missed postseasons. Kevin Durant just came off an injury. He's missed postseasons before last season. He's missed them in the past when he was on OKC. Kyrie's going to twist an ankle. Kevin Durant's going to hurt his knee. And suddenly it's going to be Harden and the leftovers. And it's going to go south. So do I believe in them healthy, doing really special things? Yes. Do I think that we'll see that? No.
Chris, you're 100% right. Is that losing Jared Allen? I'm a huge Jared Allen fan. I don't know when it happened. I don't know why it happened, but I love him. And I think that's going to be a major loss for them. And from the chemistry standpoint, there's also the fact that I think he was the only guy that was taller than KD, and KD's ball spot keeps getting bigger. And if there's no one taller than him to tell him that on the team, who's gonna step into that role of letting him know when he needs to shave it? So it seems like he's an important loss on many levels.
Spot on.
Oh, okay. This was supposed to lead me to who's been your favorite player to watch right now, but I want to talk about other bald spots. Guys, my favorite bald spot of all time is Rasheed Wallace.
Oh yeah.
Underrated.
I'd like to know if anyone else has any other great bald spots.
Manu had a cool one for a couple of years.
He has the iconic bald spot.
Yeah, I think he is the number one
Yeah,
Mount Rushmore
he's the
bald
bald
spot.
spot.
So this came up for me because I listened to a podcast with Greg Oden years ago. And he was talking how literally he didn't know he was bald because there was no one in his life that was taller than him that could see. And
Yeah. Tragic.
so I just think that's hilarious. And I know I'm not making fun of the guys. I mean, it's something we all go through. It's like this male process, and it's not something to throw shade at. I just want someone there to help KD out, man. And they got rid of their best center.
Can we meet up for a support pod on the male process together, helping guys through the process?
Is this like a PG-13 podcast or episode?
Is this
Explain to me
not?
what- No. I'm asking about this male process part. Is this rated R? Is this for kids? Because male process can go in a lot of different areas, sir. You guys mentioned a lot of great players. I know, and we mentioned the trio over in Brooklyn, and then Giannis was mentioned as well. Who's been your favorite player so far?
Guys, it's welcome back, Steph Curry. And it's good to be back, right? Aren't we all happy to be back? I'm going to watch the game after this pod. You know what? They come on West Coast. I'm in Central Time, so you get that nice that comes on at 9, not 10. I can kind of settle into it. It's just so fun to have him. It's so fun to have him. And he's such a great player. He's such a charismatic figure. He lights up the room. I was thinking he kind of leads the charge of like, guys, let's just kind of be grateful that we get to play basketball. He brings such a joy. I think LeBron brings such an intensity. Like, it's more than a game, the importance of this. He brings kind of like a historical grandeur to everything, which is really cool and profound. But Steph just brings the fun.
Who have you enjoyed watching play basketball outside of Steph? I think that's an easy, fairly easy answer considering, everybody out of nowhere. We built these people up, man, just to try to tear them down when the moment presents itself. You know, Steph was like the ultimate underdog coming out of Davidson. He becomes this, the greatest shooter that we've ever seen, and now we're finding ways to discredit him however we can. He comes out shooting 32% to start the year from deep, and there are idiots that believe somehow that's going to last or he's going to be an average player now. And then he drops what was it, 60, 62 or whatever it was against Portland. That's what great players are made of and what they're supposed to do. But who have you enjoyed watching so far, Cody?
I'm just going to throw in a few more Curry stats just because he was the one who was on my list.
Sorry, brother.
And so I'll come up with another one in a moment, but I'll just add to the Curry love for a second and say the thing I love about him, watching him play the game, is he's not just a ball dominant, dribble up, take the shot, like a Trae Young or a Harden or whomever. 58% of his threes this year are assisted, meaning he's moving the ball. He repositions himself, so he'll kick it. He'll do a fade or a curl or something to get in a better position to catch a pass coming back to him and fire it up. I love his off-ball movement. I love that even though he is doing all that, he does have a usage rate of 30 right now, which is the second highest of his career, second only to one of his MVP years. And so he is their offense right now. And he does it in so many different ways. He's an incredible finisher around the rim for a guy his size. And as we know, he can shoot it from three. There, we'll chalk that up to another Cody obvious point, but he can shoot from three. This guy Stephen Curry, right? Yeah.
He's Seth's brother. You might have heard of.
Yeah.
Seth's brother.
My player is Luka Doncic, who I think is possibly the most exciting player to watch outside of like a Jamal Murray or Zion or something who's slamming it down every play. But Just his creativity. He's a freaking wizard with the ball. He can shoot from anywhere. He's clutch. He's exciting. A great teammate. Just he's doing everything for Dallas. And sitting down and watching Luka is must-watch TV for all NBA fans. And he's only getting better. It's ridiculous. As a Spurs fan, I hate it, but I love watching him.
CJ McCollum has been my favorite player to watch.
He's having a year, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, averaging about 28 points a game. When they made the Western Conference Finals. You know, I think a lot of people forget the run that CJ had that playoff series. Now, I don't think long term that him and Dame should or will be together if Portland wants to keep Dame forever. As loyal as he is, he will run out of patience and go somewhere else or want to go somewhere else. I hope it doesn't happen. I don't know if those two long term can up, especially defensively. And I think in the preview I talked about the fact that I didn't think that they would be very good this year. And it mainly has to do with the opposite side of the ball, what they can do defensively. And once again, from positions 1 through 3, 1 through 4, they lack the size and length consistently that I think you need, even with additions like Robert Covington and Derrick Jones, to, I think, play consistent, good defense or even average defense. Nonetheless, I mean, CJ's been amazing to watch, man. Every night he's putting on a show. And I know he got hurt the other night and probably missed a week with a sprained foot. But all 3 levels he's performing at. He's performing from the mid-range, in between, one of the best in-between games in basketball. He's shooting the 3 well. He's getting to the free throw line. He's finishing layups. And he's also quietly closing games. Dame has taken somewhat of a back seat for CJ, letting CJ do a lot more, and just kind of just sitting back and saying, all right, I got this guy I can lean on. I'm gonna kind of rest up until I'm needed. So he's having a bad game, or until we're in a battle, I'm extremely hot, or it's playoff time. I don't know how successful it's going to be in regards to winning for them long term, but it's been fun to watch from those two perspectives. Another guy I would throw in would be Jerami Grant, who's been fun to watch in Detroit as well. Cody, did you think of someone else outside of Steph Curry? Come on, man. You're in a tie. You're smart.
I did, and CJ McCollum leading the league right now in threes made and taken. So yeah, I agree. CJ's been fun. So my other guy, unfortunately, a little bit of a homer pick, as I'm a Celtics fan, was Jason Tatum. I've been enjoying his development over the last several years. My favorite thing is when a player plays defense and offense, and not just offense.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing.
Is that called a multi-way player or something? Or
Two-way?
Two-way.
A double way? Something like that.
Have it your way, BK?
Yeah, something like that.
I love when a guy plays defense and offense, and he's been doing that this year. It's hard to tease him apart from Jaylen Brown, who's had such an awesome year and probably is like my 1B in terms of love watching, just because, again, he's a dog when he's going on the ball defense, and Tatum is such a good shot blocker, as well as obviously a shot maker. And then if I had to throw in a third person, just because my top few people got snatched, Jokic. I love passing as well. And watching Jokic technically lead the league in assists still, because Harden and Westbrook don't have enough games yet, is incredible. He's a giant man who's just dishing dimes. I love it.
25, 11, and 10. So CJ, I heard an interview, something that I thought was really interesting. He said that his coach told him this year he wanted him to attempt 10 threes a game. Attempt. Which is incredible. He's making 5. I think he's shooting 11 or something. And what I think is really cool about CJ is he seems like somebody who really cares about efficiency. That's important to him, his percentages. And that I've watched him on nights where he'll maybe miss his first 2 or 3 threes and stop shooting. Or he'll be 2 for 5 and stop shooting and protect that 40%. And I see a new mentality this year. I've just got to get shots up. I see a freedom. He's just putting the ball in the air and letting it fly and worrying more about the attempts than the makes. And I think that's really freed up his game. So totally agree with you. I love what CJ's doing. Secondly, you pinged, I just got to give a shout out. You pinged Jerami Grant, 12 points a game last year, 25 points a game this year. Left Denver to be the center of the offense in Detroit, and he is the center of the offense in Detroit. So
do they call that a most improved player?
MIP?
But I would like everyone to raise your hand if you saw this. Like, we all heard that he wanted a bigger role in the offense, but who actually saw him succeeding at this level? I'm not going to raise my hand. I did not.
Everybody rolled their eyes. Oh, but it's like, it's Jerami Grant. I mean, that's how I thought. Like, okay, bro, like you're good, you're solid, man. But
Chris, really quick, because you kind of called out my Steph Curry pick as being kind of an obvious one. So I'm going to go deeper cut for you to show you that I can get deeper levels. Player I've loved to watch, Tyrese Halliburton on the Sacramento
off
Kings.
the top rope. Wow.
Yeah, rookie. He's shooting 51%. He's already averaging 5 assists. They close with the 3 guards. Really like him. Total gamer. Excited about his game. And I think what's interesting is I like the 3 guards that they're doing out there. But there's an opportunity to build around Buddy and Halliburton. Trade Fox and Bagley. See what you get. Just throwing it out there.
Mind.
You can't trade Fox.
Did you just say you're gonna Buddy's 48 years old. You're gonna keep. We don't even know how old he is. You're gonna build it. You can't build anything around Buddy. Oh my God!
Come on, Buddy.
You gotta trade De'Aaron Fox. He dropped 40 yesterday.
Fox is a dog.
I like Halliburton more.
Wow. So we have maybe a couple things here. Also, anyone who's watching this right now, if you have not already, please go subscribe to us on YouTube at Music, Movies, and Hoops. Our Twitter page is growing in followers by the minute. As long as Sasha isn't saying ridiculous shit like that he just said. We're on Twitter at Music, Movies, and Hoops. If I'm forgetting anything else, I am just baffled at what just came out of that man's mouth. Well, one of the final things here I wanted to say, speaking of, I think a lot of people would have predicted Steph Curry having the year that he's having. Well, maybe not the original start, but I think coming into this year, especially without Klay, being healthy, having some new pieces, not a whole bunch of guys that are going to be able to create off the dribble outside of him. The ball was going to be in his hands a lot, and you expect the best shooter in basketball to deliver one way or another, and that's happened. That's a personal prediction that I thought about coming into the year. But are there any personal predictions that you saw coming that are, so far seem to be manifesting? Steven, what about you, man?
Not just because I'm a Spurs fan, but just because I think he's that dope of a player. I expected Keldon Johnson to come into this season and prove that he's someone whose name everyone should know. And around the league, even probably mostly at this point player-wise, and the media is slowly picking it up, but that he's a freaking star. And the thing that I love the most about it as a Spurs fan is that we picked him with the pick we got from Toronto for trading Kawhi, and with DeMar and Jakob still here and contributing to wins night in and night out, and now Keldon Johnson, a budding star who seems to be a high character guy that loves playing for the organization, and we love having him, may end up being a brighter future in terms of the next 10 years than we thought we would have with the last 10 or 5 or whatever with that we were building around Kawhi. It kind of, maybe at the end of things, we'll look back and be like, yeah, it's all right.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying your future with Keldon Johnson is brighter than your past with Kawhi Leonard? Did you just say that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think at least there's, yeah. I don't think that's that ridiculous.
And now my Halliburton take seems less hot.
No, I don't know, because
thank you.
The Spurs, to be fair, if I ask people what their record was right now, I mean, I don't think most people would be able to guess. I mean, I would assume, maybe a little bit under 500, struggling. They're 8-6.
Yeah, and we've beaten both LA teams on one road trip. They beat us too, but guys hustling, keeping the energy intense, and if your shot's not falling, it's okay. You got FIBA Patty. You got Rudy Gay on the outside doing things. I don't know. It's a solid team.
Shouts to Rudy Gay. Keep getting
Dope Fiesta uniforms too. Man, getting the Fiesta uniforms out there, so nice. Thank God they're done with the camo.
I did not like that.
Idiots, weren't they?
Yeah.
Shout out to DeMar DeRozan averaging a career high in assists and really improving as a playmaker, by the way. Cody, what about you, man? What's a prediction that you had that's so far proven to be true to begin the year?
So Sasha's out here locking me down like vintage Kawhi. I'm trying to cross him over. He's just stealing the ball. So I was thinking about Halliburton. I liked him earlier on, leading up to the draft. So I'll go with another one, which is the Phoenix Suns. I thought they were going to be a playoff team pre the Chris Paul trade. I had them slotted in the 7. I could have seen them getting up to the 6 seed, and that was pre-free agency. So getting Paul has just been, I think, incredibly helpful, incredibly stabilizing force. And I felt like they were going to show that the bubble was not a fluke. I mean, they're not going to win every single game like they did in the bubble, but their level of play was not a fluke, that they were starting to put some things together. And here they are in the middle of the pack in the West. So
Mikal Bridges, love that guy.
Been playing wonderful ball, playing his role on both sides of the basketball floor. He would have been one of my picks for most improved player if Jerami Grant wasn't playing out of his mind. Sasha, we talked about a pick earlier in the year prediction that you had that's been terrible so far. One that's been great. You deserve a chance to rebound.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm holding myself to the fire of our preview, as you said, Chris. I have a lock, and then I have one that I feel pretty good about. My lock is a man named Christian Wood. Christian Wood, 23-11, block and a half, a 3.5. It's kind of the leader of their team now. I think he's on his way to an all-star appearance. Picked him up. I don't know where that Houston is with their timeline. He's 26. I don't know if he's going to be young enough to be part of their long-term future, but he looks like a stud. I called that, and I'm proud of that one. And then I said, Chris, at the very end of the pod last time, you made us throw out finals predictions, which I wonder if you're going to have us do again. I threw out Lakers Celtics, and I have to say, a month in, I'm feeling pretty good. I think we all think the Lakers are going to get there. Celtics second in the East. If they hadn't have lost by 30, the Knicks, they'd be 1. The Jays are all-stars. Jaylen Brown better get his first all-star appearance. He's putting up amazing numbers, jumped 5 points. He also doubled his assists from 2 to 4. Jason, I love, as Cody touched on. Peyton Pritchard. Can we get some Peyton Pritchard love? It shouldn't have taken an hour for his name to come up. I really like the Celtics team. I don't know. I looked at their numbers. They're 12th in offense, 17th in defense. So that's not as promising as their record. I'm standing by my finals prediction a month in.
Jamal Murray.
Oh.
When we had our show, and I've been saying it for a while, I've never been a fan of Jamal Murray. I just haven't. But when everything happened with him having those wonderful games and helping getting the Nuggets into the conference finals and arguably being the best player of the bubble, one of the best players in the bubble, breakout performance. I didn't think it was going to translate. I didn't think it was going to transfer into this season. I didn't think that was going to be who he was going forward. And he's back to being regular, averaging 19 to 20 points a game, 3 rebounds, 3-4 assists. That's who he is. That's not saying he's not a good NBA player. I just never thought he was going to be great. I didn't see a superstar. I didn't see a breakout coming. I don't see a guy that has the overall amount of awareness to give you the levels of consistency that you need to be that star, especially when you have a guy like Jokic on that floor with you. And when Michael Porter Jr. comes back, it's only going to take away more shots for him. Can he affect the game in other areas? I don't think he can. There's no reason he shouldn't average more assists than he does right now. He's too talented to just be averaging 3 to 4 assists. I don't care how many Jokic gets. He's good enough to average more with the minutes that he plays and the time that he's going to have the ball in his hands. I don't wish for him to do wrong. I just didn't predict him. I had a certain prediction about it not holding up, and I think it's going to be worse when Michael Porter Jr. arrived, and when he's back, hopefully if he's healthy post COVID, because
especially if he starts outperforming or outplaying Jamal Murray, which he very well might, probably will.
I was going to say, isn't that a good thing in the sense that I would ask you, Chris, do you think that Jamal Murray can be the third best player on a title team?
I don't think he wants to be the third best player on a title team. That's my struggle with Jamal. It's just something about him, man. And I think the playoffs back to back, not the bubble, but the playoffs of what year were we in 2021? The playoffs of 2019, the playoffs of 2018, where I saw him outshoot Jokic in regards to shot attempts, him shoot a terrible percentage consistently. I saw him shoot them out of games. I saw him in the fourth quarter against, at home against Portland, look at CJ McCollum and to me feel as if, okay, this is my time to answer him. And he had some good performances as well, but it's up and down. It's an 8 for 26 game followed by a game where he goes 10 for 21. It's too much Jekyll and Hyde. If you're going to be the third best player on a team, you have to believe in a role. And that may mean that I know that this guy here is the best player on this team, right? Like, to me, it's the Russell Westbrook thing. So no matter who Russ is around, Russ is always going to believe he's the best player on the floor. And that's a great mindset to have until you aren't the best player on the floor anymore and you need to get this other guy involved who may just be better than you. Basketball players sometimes struggle with that from an ego perspective, and that's my issue with Murray. I don't think he's going to have the right mindset to be a number 3. Do you think he has that in him?
And not yet. No, not yet. I don't think he does. My thing is he's young, and we're all pretty dumb in our early 20s. So
yourself.
I was very dumb in my early 20s, and so I think
we'll put that on the mail process pod.
Yeah, exactly. We can talk about them and talk about my mail process.
Chris ain't coming.
Late bloomer over here, and
for Sasha, we will lead out with finals. Again, I guess we'll do this every time we link up here. Steve, I've been wondering about this jersey. Please tell me what jersey this is.
Oh yeah. Now, what'd you expect?
Whoa!
That wasn't what I expected.
What is that?
It's I don't know. I got it at a thrift store. Like, I think I got it at Goodwill.
Whoa, Native American.
Yeah, I have family that's Choctaw and Cherokee, and my great grandma was full Cherokee, Cherokee, and I really dig the Native American culture and everything. And I'm a huge Patty Mills fan, and I think what he's been doing for Australia and the Indigenous, amateur Indigenous population over there, and creating a league for young Indigenous people, and really being a light for the culture in Australia and worldwide. He's just an inspirational person. So, with him having Aborigine in him, of course.
Badass, man.
Yeah.
That is great, man. That is
Thanks.
Having the heritage really brings it home.
For sure.
So yeah, man, as we look to close out here, right now, based on what you see, who's gonna be in the finals come, it's not June right now. When is it? August?
July?
July. I think it's July. Yeah. Who's going to be representing the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference? Cody.
So I guess I got to know the rules of this, because technically I wrote an article on musicmovieshoops.com. Great website. You guys should all check it out. Right after the playoffs ended, where I predicted the playoffs. So this is pre-free agency, pre-draft, and I did set out with my finals prediction. So do I have to hold to that, or do I get to mix it up now that all that stuff has happened?
You can do what you want, man. Listen, you're wearing a tie. When you are the best dresser on the podcast, you can do whatever the hell you want. Just do it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's why I do it. And I think it'd be fun right now to keep my prediction. I'm going to hold on to it for another.
After all that, you're sticking with it?
Well,
He had to make
going
sure.
through it in my head, because I'm wrong. I have Denver and Brooklyn. I've got the Nuggets versus the Nets in the finals, and that's what I wrote immediately after the playoffs last year, before anything had happened. Clearly, I think the Lakers are the best team in the West. I think the Lakers are going to make the finals, but I'm going to stick to Nuggets Nets just so this is on camera for another month, that then I can switch it the next time and then be right 2 times.
I don't think I can go back and forth with you there.
You said I can do whatever I want. I'm wearing a tie.
Exactly. It's an automatic L for me. Sasha, man, what about you?
I'm staying the course. I believe in my prediction. I'm going Celtics, Lakers. I think the Lakers are going to somewhat walk to the finals. I think the Celtics are going to be down in the Eastern Conference Final to Brooklyn. And as I said, we're going to have an untimely ankle roll for Kevin Durant, and that will get them over the hump. They're going to get there via
You better
injury.
be knocking on everything, because this is a prediction, but that's mean.
I love you, Katie. I don't want that to happen. I have a bad feeling about this team staying healthy. But Celtics, Lakers, book it. Let's go.
Steven.
Okay, so I don't think the Bucks are there yet. I don't think the Heat have enough power. I don't think Brooklyn will get there. I think the Celtics have been close consistently in the last 3-4 years. They got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who have also been consistent for them for a while now and are kind of elevating their games as they should. There's going to be a point where Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are getting you to the finals and getting you to championships. And it may be now. And I think it's at least going to be the finals for them this season if they stay healthy themselves. And yeah, but in the West, I really don't want to pick the Lakers because I don't think they'll make it. But of course, everyone has already given it to them, and everyone gave it to him last year, and it was like, we'll see, I told you. But I mean, everyone gives it to LeBron. He's going to make it. He's going to make it. I think that last year they had a lot to play for, obviously, for so many reasons, especially Kobe. And I don't think that a lot of those reasons necessarily are gone now. But, like, they did it. They completed their journey for last championship. Obviously, they wanted to win multiple, but I like to think that there's a hungry enough team in the West that kind of gets hot at the right time and has the right maybe a mix of injuries or whatever that always happens to push them over the edge. I just don't know who I feel like that team is, which makes me think just freaking pick the Lakers. But I don't believe in the Clippers. I'll go. Here's my thing. I know the Spurs are young, and I know this is a bold. Look. They're gonna make the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. But if what everyone is saying, there's gonna be injuries. Oh, these players are gonna be weak. Who is gonna expect DeJounte Murray and Keldon Johnson and who the fuck? Clutch Patty Mills off the bench, shooters and Rudy Gay. They can match up with people better than people think. And we're talking about July, not tomorrow.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. See, I thought you would go somewhere totally different.
Jazz.
You really just did that.
I don't think
You
Donovan.
said no question, too. No question they make the playoffs. When right now, they're technically there, but you know who's not in the playoffs are the Nuggets. So, like, you can probably assume the Nuggets are going to make the playoffs, right? And
There's a lot of teams that
that's
are.
what I mean. So, like, I don't think you can even say it's a no-brainer they make the playoffs.
The San Antonio
I feel good about it.
Spurs,
All right.
Boston Celtics, please, from my view, I don't want to see that.
I hope that the rest of America agrees with you and expects nonsense and turns on their TV and sees Keldon Johnson dunking over Jason Tatum.
Put that bet in now, Steven. I bet you're getting good odds. Put that bet in now.
200 to 1.
I'm logging in. I'll do it.
A lot of money, man, if that's ever happened.
I believe in Pop. No,
Where was I going with this?
But I also think they're gonna make a trade, and they're not gonna be the same roster. So I'll say that too. But go ahead.
They're gonna make a trade and make the finals, man. Look, Steve,
they're not gonna make a trade to not make.
Well,
like,
I know.
make
Well, I understand that, but I mean, damn, like. Okay, nope. You know what?
Go ahead.
You know what? Nope. I asked you your opinion, and you gave it, and damn it, I respect it, just like I respect Cody. Okay. And Sasha's earlier. What did Sasha say earlier about
trade Fox?
Yeah, that was
That looks sane in the wake of this.
You said that. You saved that to save Sasha's take earlier. Before we get, I'm telling you, it's a terrible take.
If he hadn't said that, I may be less confident in even bringing this shit up right now.
I paved the way for people to have creative takes. That's my role.
Nah, that's totally fair. For me, I'm going Clippers.
Ooh.
I'm going Clippers and 76ers. That's my pick. Clippers and Philly. I think Philly before, and again, I mean, it was like a 10-game with 8-game sample size, so it wasn't much anything. But before they got hit with COVID left and right, they were arguably the best team in basketball. And this was right before Lakers started to just turn things on again. And look, I mean, Steph Curry is having a career year right now. Whenever he gets back on the floor, he's shooting the ball well, and he's on a perfect team to shoot the ball well because it's exactly what they need. I'm still not 100% impressed with Ben Simmons, but I will say Joel Embiid, man, was tearing up the league every single game, no matter who he was playing. And he just seemed to be in a different mindset to start the year. I like a lot of their role players, and I like what they can do defensively. I think that they're going to end the year with a top 5 defense. Doc Rivers in the postseason without Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen scares me. But I think this is the year that they get over the hump. And I'm picking them to make the finals. The Clippers, listen, I don't believe in Paul George. I don't. And it is what it is. But I thought last year that they were truthfully the only team that could match up well with the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think if they get them in a 7-game series, I think that they have the right amount of toughness and grit to battle with them. I think they have the right amount of experience. And I think for the Clippers, they're probably one of the few teams that just won't be afraid of the Lakers. They won't be afraid of the star power of LeBron and AD. They're not gonna care about that because they have good matchups for them pretty much all over the floor. Serge Ibaka was huge for them. And that's probably the only team that they'll be focused for. I mean, now I guess you got to say that they have to get to the finals first, right? Are they going to be focused with the other teams that they have to beat to get to LA? But if they are able to get there, I'm picking them to beat the Lakers in a 6 or 7 game series. They'll get to the finals, and that'll be a matchup. And Doc gets to go against his old team.
What a storyline! It'll be fun.
Yeah,
very fun.
I also had that matchup, Sixers Clippers in 2020. That was my finals prediction. So I hope you're right, because then I'll have just been 1 year early.
You've just been right. You were right in the present, the past, the future.
Exactly.
You wrote the date wrong. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this was absolutely fun once again, guys. I'm glad that we were able to do this. I'm gonna get with Sasha to hopefully cook up more of these. It was great putting this together with everyone. Once again, please go on Twitter and follow us here at Music, Movies, and Hoops. Go to our website, moviesmusicandhoops.com. Cody mentioned like 7 things that he's done and that he's doing on the website. Please go read it. Sasha, Steven, Cody, before we get out of here, is there anything else that you guys are working on that people need to know about? Let them know.
Steven's got 2 pieces coming this week. They're going to be hot. I think everyone is loving his Totally Sounds Like series.
Thanks.
And the accompanying videos are fantastic.
I got a good one coming.
It's great. It's fantastic. And some hot news we're dropping on the pod. Last time we ended with Dodson dropping his card charity giveaway news, and today coming.
Oh, we got merch.
It's coming.
We got merch.
So get ready. We're getting the store going. We're going to be selling this, getting this out to the contributors.
Nice.
Hopefully people on the streets are going to say, what the hell's going on? And we're going to be growing from there. So I'm super excited. The merch is here.
All right, guys. Well, you heard the man. You heard the general. So you guys will be able to buy. I can't wait to get a hoodie or a hat. You know, it looks like a really good design. But signing off here once again, Chris Connick. Follow me on Twitter @ImpatientBull. We got Cody, we got Steven, we got Sasha. It was great again. We will see you next time. We're out.